Hey everyone, it's Stacy! We're on week 2 of I Read Comics. I'm very excited because I'm actually keeping to this at least 2 weeks in a row. I enjoy reading comics, I just don't get to make time for it, so I'm working very hard to do that. And I want to tell you about some of the number ones that we had come out this week, or the jumping on points. First one is God of War from Dark Horse Comics. It's written by Chris Robertson, and Tony Parker is the artist, and it's Matea's cover pick of the week. I don't know much about God of War. I read this. It's got a story. Not a lot of stuff happened in the first issue. Kratos is moving. He's doing his thing. Yeah, this is the second take of the video because one cat came up onto the table, and here's the other. Hello. Say hi. Yes. Yep. You're in my video. Go somewhere else. So God of War #1 came out. So if you're a God of War fan, I think you'll be way more excited about this than I am. The art was good, the story was there, but compared to a lot of the other stuff I read this week, there wasn't a lot of meat on this one. But again, I'm not a God of War fan. With a lot more meat, or less, if you will, is Carmen #1. It's by Guillaume March. And he did actually the art on Joker #1, which we'll talk about soon. But this one's really pretty, and it's very intriguing. There's naked people in this one. One of the characters is naked for most of the comic. It's kind of cool because it's not like a sexualized nakedness. It's just kind of the state of the character. And I want to keep reading this. I don't know where it's going. It's got hints of kind of a Christmas Carol, and they call themselves out on that. And it's got hints of maybe the god of death coming along and taking you, but we don't know what that's about. There's some story at the front that doesn't make sense with the rest of the context of the comic, and I believe Guillaume's going to deliver and tell you why he gave you. It doesn't feel like any scene in this is wasted, which is really cool. Really fast comic is Non-Stop Spider-Man. We have so many covers of this one. This one's written by Joe Kelly and drawn by Dale Eaglesham. And at the end, the editor talks about how this is pretty much, they tried to get the spirit of the movie Speed. Like, the comic is just go, 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 go. It's Peter Parker dealing with a thing and one crisis after another after another. The art that Dale Eaglesham puts into it fits the intention of that really well. So if you want a fast-paced comic, that's just kind of Mad Max Fury Road, like the adrenaline just doesn't turn off. Non-Stop Spider-Man delivers. Boom Studios, Proctor Valley Road, written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Naomi Franquez. Oh, and Alex Child helped Grant Morrison write this as well. This one's really good. It's a horror, but it's also, you don't know if you want to read it like you're reading a horror. Bad stuff's happening to people, but it's also flippant and light, and like the dialogue's witty, and it's like a bunch of teenagers that are just mad at various things, but also they're teenagers, so they're goofing around. And in the background of all of that, there's a horror going on. So it's sort of Lock and Key-esque. You sort of get a Joe Hill vibe from this, but it's Grant Morrison, and I don't know if I would categorize this entirely as horror or entirely as like slice of life. A little bit of Americana. It's kind of all of that. So wasn't expecting a huge amount, but Grant Morrison's writing this. The art's a little kiddish, but it kind of, by the end of the comic, I think that complements it really well in making you question, is this a horror? Because it doesn't read like a horror, but at the same time, it very well might be a horror. Tasha's cover pick of the week was Batman Urban Legends. The cover by Kale New with Grifter. She's a big Grifter fan. This is a bunch of short stories with characters in Gotham, and most of the stories were kind of Batman related, but some of them are continuing the Future State miniseries that we saw, like involving Grifter and Lucius Fox. There was a Poison Ivy story by Stephanie Phillips, which I think is definitely trying to channel the Harley cartoon show, the really like R-rated one. And Chip Zdarsky, I'm just going to point him out. He wrote the first story in here involving Jason Todd, and it was really good. I don't mind Jason Todd as a character. He's by far not my favorite Robin. This was probably my favorite Jason Todd story I've ever read. So You might want to check out Batman Urban Legends if you like a bunch of short stories. But again, I felt some of the stories in here were far better than others. But I do think that there's something in here for everyone if you wanna look. Wonder Woman. I feel bad. Last week I didn't get to any of the DC comics, so I made sure to read the DC ones first. Wonder Woman 770 is a jumping on point after the Future State story. This one is written by Michael Conrad and Becky Cloonan, and drawn by Travis Moore, and they all knocked this one out of the park. Wonder Woman wakes up, she's dead, and she's in Asgard. And she's joining the Thor and the heroes in their daily battles, where if you fight, you die, you party, and then you go back to fight some more. So this is her in that environment. She doesn't quite know why she's there. She doesn't quite recall all the things that she used to be able to do. But at the same time, I feel like I could read like 5 or 6 more issues about this, because Wonder Woman fit in so well there, and all of the people she fights with are just... they're kind of like her, and they make a good point in this, being like, what happens if you remove the heroics and you just give Wonder Woman battle, and you get to see what happens, and it's really neat. All right, Joker #1 came out. This one's written by James Tynion, and it's drawn by Guillaume March, as I mentioned. And there's a punchline story at the end of this too, which is drawn by Mirka Andolfo. I wanted to mention that because I think her art's really cool. This one's a bit wordy. There's a lot of text. I've heard a few people in the past at the store tell me that James Tynion writes like he's very wordy, and I never felt that. I felt that this time. But it's also a really good story. We're following Jim Gordon. He's having a rough run of it. And he gets offered a chance to stop the Joker by not Batman or any of like someone Batman would approve. And it's kind of Jim Gordon telling you in kind of like a crime noir. It's not a happy comic, but the art's really good, and every so often it's gritty, and then Guillaume draws a woman, and she's just so pretty, and you're just like, I just want to look at this panel for a long time. And I miss doing that when I got into comics. One of my favorite things was catching onto panels and just rereading the same panels over again, trying to figure out why this panel speaks to me. Why do I like how did the artist pull this story out? This happens in here, so I thought that was cool. Radiant Black came out a couple weeks ago. We sold out. We've got some more second prints in, so I finally got a chance to read it. So Radiant Black is from Image Comics, and it's written by Kyle Higgins and drawn by Marcelo Costa. And yeah, failed writer, has to come home. He's got a bunch of debt. His parents are taking him in, and he ends up with a super suit. The art's pretty good. The dialogue was really good. I didn't think I kind of felt it was very typical. Oh, they're all witty and kind of Kevin Smithy, Buffy dialogue. It's just witty banter. And then it started to get a lot wittier than I was kind of giving it credit for. So I thought the main character and his friend won me over by the end. So even though the story's kind of cliche, I kind of want to see where it's going. There's enough... It feels like this could be one that misses the mark by the end of the story arc, but I also hope it doesn't. So I'm going to probably check this one out. Quentin's pick of the week is a reprint cover as well. We're looking at Amazing Spider-Man number 55 by, one sec. I wrote down lists because I want to get the names right for all these creators. Patrick Gleason. Patrick Gleason did the original cover. It was black and white. The second print cover was red, and we sold out of those really quick, so we doubled down on the third cover. It's blue. Really pretty art. So if you want this cover, we have some back, and I have a feeling it's going to sell out too, and then hopefully they do a fourth print. They don't tend to do that for covers, but this Patrick Gleason's knocking it out of the park with that one. The Amazing Spider-Man 61 is a jumping on point, also drawn by Patrick Gleason, and it's written by Nick Spencer, and I read this one. It was good. If you like Spider-Man, this gets you up to date on, if you want to start reading Spider-Man now, here's a place to do it. They give you a bunch of recaps on what you missed. And, yeah, Kingpin's the mayor of New York, and he's specifically out to get Peter Parker's roommate, who's a criminal named Boomerang. And Peter Parker doesn't like Boomerang, but he's also Peter Parker. He's going to have to stop the Kingpin. So we're going to kind of see what happens. And Peter Parker's got a new suit. J. Jonah Jameson is behind the suit. So you get to kind of see that. Thor and Loki Double Trouble. This one's a kid one. It's written by Mariko Tamaki and drawn by Guri Hiru. And it's cute. If you read the Spider-Man Venom Double Trouble, you're pretty much getting the same thing here. It's set in Asgard. Basically, Loki just comes up to Thor and is like, hey, I bet you can't steal this thing from this place. And Thor's like, that's stupid. And then Loki dares him, and then Thor does it, and then Loki screws him over, but then Thor kind of drags him in. It's like Roadrunner, Bugs Bunny-esque, Looney Tunes humor. It's very, very cutely drawn. Not for kids is Maiden #1 from Heavy Metal. And this one is drawn by Michelle and Bart Sears, or written by Michelle and Bart Sears, and I think they draw it too. And then Priya Pillai is the colorist on this, and she deserves mention. There's naked people in this, and it's kind of neat too because it's sort of sexualized, but at the same time too, sometimes they'll change how they draw it, so it's kind of, so you get sexualized naked people. Heavy Metal, kind of not too surprising, but at the same time, not sexualized, and it's a revenge plot, very Shakespearean, and it starts off with like a modern setting. You see like a busted down house that like you'd see at the end of the block, and then we're like in like a space Japan. So it's, again, that's also very, very Heavy Metal. It's very well drawn. Yeah, and again, like, these guys are great. Big comic, no ads. I kind of want to read the rest to see if, like, how this revenge plot's gonna go, because I still don't fully have a grasp. They do the European thing where here's a bunch of characters, everyone's very rich. You don't know where everyone stands with everyone else, but you know that someone's out for revenge against someone. Minerva's Map. So this one is kind of a newer press one. I thought it was a graphic novel. I'm so glad I took it home today as a comic. I think this one's my favorite one this week. It's by Stefan Tosheff. He drew and wrote it. And the art style, if you like Riley Rossmo's art, Tosheff writes or draws very similar. And yeah, it's basically like a heist story. This detective named Minerva gets picked up to hunt down an artifact. And the dialogue, like, they could have prolonged the scenes unnecessarily long, and I would have kept reading it because the dialogue is just too darn fun. It's just witty banter, but done like how I always wanted witty banter to be done. A few other things I didn't get to this week because I never get to everything. Immortal Hulk, number 44 is another jumping on point. So if you're a big Immortal Hulk fan and you want to jump in now, this is a good place. Goon came out. I thought this was canceled. They kept telling us on our invoices, we've canceled the Goon, we've canceled your order, and then they showed up. So hooray! And this was, again, a jumping on point. So if you want to check out the Goon. Blade Runner Origins #1 came out. This one, Blade Runner 2049 came out this week, issue 3, and Blade Runner Origins came out. A lot of different covers, and I threw this in all the Blade Runner files, so if you're reading Blade Runner and you didn't ask for this one, you're getting it. You don't have to buy it, but I just want to touch all the bases. And I'm sad I didn't get to this because I love the Blade Runner universe. So one day I'll catch up on those comics. Big one from Marvel, Children of the Atom, #1. Didn't get to this one yet. I probably will very soon. Trying to catch up on my X-Men. But everything in here looks pretty. And I like pretty comics. This was my cover of the week. Didn't get to read it yet. Conan. This is a jumping on point. Conan #19. Starts a new story arc. And I've been doing a lot of D&D. We've got a Conan-esque character in our campaign. And I just like this cover. So hence why I chose it. And the last one on my list is the Deadpool Nerdy 30 #1. That one came out. It's kind of an annual. If you're down for Deadpool, you've got one in your file. Haven't had a chance to read this. It's Deadpool. I mean, you know what you're getting. So that's what's out for comics this week. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you guys. And if you can't make it in just because of COVID or life, give us a call. We don't mind holding things for you. Take care. Be safe.